Okay, so we're gonna talk about this shoot bet on red. It was for a hockey team in Rapid City called the Rapid City Rush. I'm gonna go through some behind the scenes photos and kind of talk about what we did that day, setting up, stuff like that. So we'll just go through these photos and see what we can see. Um, so this is me here, audio mixer. We had four talent. Um, I guess the day started, we loaded in, set up all this. I usually help with the grip and lights and stuff if I can. Uh, Usually wait on talent to show up for their call time. Um, this was a pretty low stress deal. We weren't on a huge time crunch, I guess. So we I was given a little bit of extra time to mic these guys up. I ended up doing two in their shirts, these two guys. And then the other two, I believe these two for sure I put the lav mic in their hat with the transmitter in their hat. Um, let's scroll through these and see. All right, this was the assistant director. Uh, Destin here, he was the director of photography. This was actually his shoot, so he was the director of photography. Let's see what's in this photo. Not a whole lot, just angles. Here's one of my units. This is the Zaxcom URX 100. There's a TA5 output here. So this is able to stream timecode, and it receives timecode and one channel of audio simultaneously. And then it breaks out with the TA5, breaks out into mono audio, which I use as a camera hop and time code, so it's all in one unit. Um, this one I believe was a BNC, a Sony camera, BNC input for time code and standard XLR for input for audio. Um, Going back to this, I guess at the beginning of the day, I turn on my mixer, make sure all my files are named accordingly. Um, I set the slate, I sync all the time code together, feed the mixer from an external unit, uh, which it's constantly fed time code from that unit. Uh, and then I sync that with the slate so they're locked in, same time code. And then verify. I usually I usually will hold up the slate, um, one of these units, my mixer, and the camera. I guess if I can get it all in frame, and I snap a screenshot just to make sure they're all lined up exactly. Yeah, so just slating a take. Uh, let's see. I'm gonna find a picture where we're kind of zoomed in on these guys a little bit. Um, so I was queuing these three. I guess the way we shot it, obviously we did like over shoulder. So we did all of these guys' parts in in one framing, and then we switched sides and did Kevin's shots from over, like on this side we were on a dolly, Dana dolly that was set up on the table. So I was able to just stand back and cue these guys' lines with the boom, and then they were also mic'd up with wireless systems. Here's Tracy. He owns Gator Grip and Lighting. Sometimes I battle with placement on these URX 100s. They're, for what they do and the quality that they receive audio, they're actually pretty small units. Um, I th- I can't remember the name of the old unit I had, but it was a stereo unit that was much bigger. It's uh, QRX 200, I believe. Uh, those are significantly bigger. They usually, I try to hang them from some of their rigging or their mounting here. Um, so Destin was on an easy rig for some of the time. Otherwise, I would like to have it up here, I guess, but we had to sneak it in on the side, which we've done before. Looks like this one was in a stationary position. All right, so yeah, I had his wireless. I, it was a Cause 11, Sanken Cause 11. I, I stuck the microphone so the tip was just exposed. I knew they were gonna have an overhead light, so there would be shadow. Kind of a dark, gambly environment. Um, so I knew I would get away with having that mic exposed just a little bit, um, and get clarity. Uh, this shoot was from a couple months ago, so I'm trying to remember. I I think, well, these guys had longer hair, so I think I probably ran the wire because the pack is a little harder to get stuck up into their hat, especially without uh, putting an excessive amount of tape in there. So I think what I did was tape the wire up through their hat and then left some slack so they could turn their head, and concealed that in their hair and then down their back, and their pack was either in their waistline or around in their vest pocket. I can't remember exactly where that was placed. Um, Drew also had the mic in his hat. I I think this one might have been in the lapel area of his jacket. Uh, I think I think I just wanted to get this one wired up quick. So normally I like to put it in, like in their button up shirt. Like I'll stick it beneath the seam here in their buttons. But he was wearing an overcoat, so I didn't want that to muffle the sound. So I think I stuck this right on the inside here where it would be exposed. And I think he only had like one line, so I had the boom as well, which was that's always my primary. Like I always try to do boom first, and lavs as a backup. Some more shots of these guys being tough guys. Here's the Dana Dolly. You can see it on the table. Let's see if we can see. I wonder if I can zoom in here. So I think Drew's pack was back here. I knew that there he wasn't going to have any behind shots, so I think I ran that wire right down his suspenders here and just hooked the pack right on his back. Because we were in a casino, we were having it's a noisy environment. There's a lot of machines going off. This is Lyric. She was the assistant director again. I know back here, I think there's another shot of it probably. There was one machine in particular that was uh, really giving us a problem with audio. Looks like that's the end of the reel. Um, yeah, back here. So on this wall, there was a row of machines that, and one of them kept going off. It was some kind of Asian themed machine, and it was like a gong going off. It would do it like 10 times in a row, and then it would kind of settle down for a few minutes. So there were a few times where we had to reset because that thing started going off. There was another machine back in here. So this is like a wheel. I think because th- this, we were in here pretty early in the morning. There's not a lot of gamblers. Um, we were able to shut down one of these machines. I think it was this one. It was making like a clicking noise, like the wheel spinning around, clicking. So I think we were able to kill that one. And then there's just most of these machines were way in the background and they weren't too loud. But other than that gong one that kept going off. Yeah, so now I'm gonna go ahead and play the final um whoops. I'm gonna go ahead and play the final deal here. If I can get this on full screen. Oh yeah, this is a nice clear picture. The machine in the background. Um, so the management for the casino was actually they were kind of holed up back here. Um, we had a lot of our equipment staged back in here, um, behind these tables, and this is like the area back in here is where I mic'd most of these, or I think all of these guys up. Maybe the one was kind of more on the fly. All right, we'll go ahead and play it.
Too steep for me. I fold.
Same. Fold 2.
Well, Red, you gonna play or turn yellow? What's the matter? You afraid of a little shootout?
You know, when the chips are down, we don't run. We go all in.
You're bluffing.
It's another thing here. I'm just gonna scroll back real quick. So I really like to capture a lot of the detailed noises if I can. So like if you can hear it in the video, like him setting his gun down and Kevin pushing the chips forward, you can distinctly hear those little details. So I'm really conscious of where I'm positioning the mic to try and capture that stuff.
Shootout?
You know, when the chips are down, we don't run. We go all in.
You're bluffing. You can't beat me.
I mean, even him pushing his chips, you can hear the chips on the felt sliding forward. Here's a good close-up of Kevin. See, the brim is down. You can't see that mic at all. It's just hiding right there. Shadow here. So those chips flying up in the air was kind of a whole project. I was actually released once, kind of as they were doing that. I was wrapping my stuff up. We had a lunch right before that shoot, so I pulled all my stuff off of these guys. So I guess what I'm saying is those chips flying up was an effect. Or what would you call it, like a stock audio thing. Yeah, and then it just goes into all this hardcore hockey stuff. Pretty cool hype video before the games. Cool. Well, that's all I have for my rundown of that shoot. I'll try to get some more up here at some point.